The planet Theron 7 had no official name for its people. At least, not one easily translatable into galactic standard. Outsiders referred to them simply as the Aurelians, a race of tall, bioluminescent beings who lived in harmony with the forests, skies, and oceans of their planet. With long tendrils that shimmered in twilight hues and minds attuned to the quantum pulses of the cosmos, the Aurelians were one of the oldest known species in the sector. But they had myths, old ones almost forgotten. In those myths, there were stories of the Fireborn, creatures of flesh and iron, born not in wombs but in flames, riding on metal stars and wielding minds so fierce they could talk entire planets into obeying. The old stories claimed these beings once walked among the stars, changed the courses of wars, and disappeared without a trace. No one believed in the Fireborn anymore. At least not until the day one fell from the sky. It was Kayla who found the wreckage. She was young by Aurelian standards, barely 60 cycles old, curious, strong-spirited, and obsessed with the stars beyond her world. While her kin communed with nature and memory stones, she trekked across ruins left from long-abandoned observation posts, tinkering with broken tech and dreaming of the unknown. That day, when the sky split with fire and something metallic screamed through the upper atmosphere, Kayla had chased it. Her 6 limbs moved in practiced rhythm, bounding over mossy ridges and glowing vines. When she reached the crash site, a valley smoldering with heat and torn trees, she expected dead metal. What she found was alive. A figure in a battered exosuit, coughing, bleeding, but standing. 2 legs, 2 arms, a strange pale face half hidden under a cracked helmet. He looked at her and raised one hand. "Ah, hey!" Kayla froze. Her heart stuttered. The fire, the metal, the human form. Her voice trembled, more in awe than fear. "I thought humans were a myth, but you are real," she whispered. She blinked, her glowing eyes wide. "You are real." The man coughed again and grinned, even as blood trickled from his lip. "Very real. And very lost. Middle." His name was Lieutenant Jared Cole, a recon pilot with Earth's exploratory corps. His ship, Talon 3, had been caught in a gravitic minefield near an abandoned sector outpost. Most of his team had ejected into different escape pods. He had no idea where they were now. The fact he was alive at all was a miracle. Kayla brought him to a hidden cavern used by her ancestors. It had emergency energy supplies and rudimentary healing tech, old Aurelian technology she barely understood but could operate well enough. Jared slept for days under her care. When he woke, she was sitting near him, humming to herself in a strange frequency that somehow calmed his nerves. "You saved me," he said hoarsely. "You were not supposed to exist," she replied softly. Jared laughed weakly. "You're not the first person to tell me that." Over the next weeks, Kayla helped him recover. She taught him the edible flora, warned him about the roaming thresher beasts, and even shared her songs, harmonics passed from generation to generation. In return, Jared shared old Terran stories. Of oceans that stretched for miles, of cities that lit up the sky, of machines that could fly without wings. She listened with rapt attention. "Your people sound like they burn through existence." Aloud. "So fast." He smirked. "Yeah, that's one way to put it." Jared began repairing a distress beacon from his ruined pod, and Kayla, eager to learn, helped him. He explained circuitry, wave frequencies, and quantum relays in a way she could understand. And she, in turn, showed him the energy crystals buried deep under the soil, living things with memory and mood. They were 2 minds from opposite ends of the galaxy, building bridges one joke, one gesture at a time. One evening, as the dual moons rose, casting silvery shadows across the mossy ridge, Kayla turned to him. "Jared, If your people return for you, will they hurt us? He looked at her surprised. Why would they? Because long ago the Fireborn came. Not many. Just a few. But they changed things. They took what they wanted. And then, they vanished. And we were left to wonder if they were ever real. Or gods. Or monsters. Jared looked down, silent. Maybe, he said finally. They were just people. Like me. Lost, scared, and trying to survive. She tilted her head. You are nothing like the myths. They were said to be cruel and cold. And what do you think I am? Kayla placed a glowing hand on his chest. Warm. They sat in silence, the air charged not with tension, but the gravity of understanding. Climax. The beacon worked. It took weeks, but it sent a signal. A faint, encoded pulse with Jared's ID. And someone answered. 2 days later, the sky rumbled. Not with fire this time, but with coordinated military descent. 5 ships appeared above the atmosphere. Sleek Terran designs etched with exploratory emblems. They found Jared's location and landed on a nearby clearing. Kayla and Jared stood at the edge, watching them descend. You'll be going home, she said softly. Yeah, Jared replied. He didn't sound excited. The team came down, armed, armored, cautious. Jared approached them first, hands raised. The officer in charge, Commander Ryan, scanned him quickly. Lieutenant Cole, alive and conscious. We'll debrief you aboard. Jared gestured toward Kayla, who stood half hidden among the vines. She's the reason I'm still breathing. She saved me. Protected me. I owe her everything. Ryan's visor shifted slightly. An indigenous alien. Not just that. She's remarkable. Kayla stepped forward unafraid. Her gaze met Ryan's visor. So the myths were true, she said. Ryan looked puzzled. What myth? Kayla just smiled. Ending. They offered to extract Kayla for study. Diplomatic contact, first official exchange. She refused. Therein 7 was her world. Or life. She had no desire to leave it behind. Jared didn't argue, but his heart sank. At the final hour before he boarded the shuttle, he stood with her at the edge of the forest. You could come, he said, and become a myth on your world. She teased gently. He smiled. You already are. Kayla hesitated. Her hands reached to her neck, where she wore a pendant made from crystal memory stone. She took it off and pressed it into his palm. When you return to your stars, tell them this. Not all myths are lies. Some just wait to be remembered. Jared leaned forward, his forehead gently touching hers. I'll come back, he promised. Kayla smiled. I know. The shuttle lifted into the sky, burning a clean arc into the atmosphere. Kayla watched until it disappeared among the stars. Later, when the forest settled again, she sat by the crystal pool where they once talked, and she sang. New song. One that told of a human with fire in his heart and gentleness in his hands. And across the stars, Jared sat in his bunk aboard the ECS Pathfinder, staring at the glowing pendant. He smiled. Fireborn, huh? He whispered to himself. Guess we're not done being myths.